All right. So thank you guys so much for hopping on. This is a great turnout. So I'm so glad you guys are here. Welcome to our Tuesday night team call. We took a little break for the holidays last week. But this is our last call of 2020. Isn't that crazy? Right? It is the last one, right? It's New Year's this week. So that's insane. And I know it has been a roller coaster of a year. But a lot of amazing things have happened too. So what we want to do tonight is take some time and talk about goal setting for 2021, since it is right around the corner. Amber is going to share some things with us that will be really helpful. So we're going to talk about goal setting. We are going to go over how to do a calendar audit, which you guys might have heard me talk about before, but I'm going to give you a little crash course in that. There's still a couple days left of the year, so you have time to do this even before 2021 kicks off. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to choose your word of the year. And if you guys have done that already, maybe you'd want to share, because a lot of times when we share our word, it might inspire someone else in their thought process in how they want to choose their word for the year, or words for the year, phrase for the year, just something that's going to kind of set your mindset for 2021. So I'm actually going to let Amber start off, and she's just going to talk a little bit about goal setting. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's good to be here. I'm glad you all are plugging back in after Christmas. So I don't know if you all have listened to Megan's podcast, her new podcast that she launched. She actually did an episode on this. I think it's like episode 8. And then she also has like a worksheet that Brittany shared in the 2020 chat, which is very helpful if you haven't picked your word for the year, if you haven't gone through this yet. Print out that worksheet. It's very helpful. So basically, the first step on planning out your goals for the new year is to actually reflect on this year and go over what went well. What do you want to do more of next year? What do you need to cut out? What do you need to be more intentional about? So Brittany, if you wanted to go over calendar audit, this might be a good time.
Sure. Okay. So Megan's worksheet is really helpful, and I meant to send it again in the chat and I forgot. So I will send it again, or if anyone needs that, I can send it. You can shoot me a direct message and I will send it to you. But it's like a worksheet to help you kind of process all the things. So I first learned about doing a calendar audit from from John Maxwell and from Rachel Hollis. And I think she got it from John Maxwell. So we'll say it's John Maxwell. And so what I do is I get all my planners. You guys know I'm like a big planner person. So I usually have a couple of these that have been filled throughout 2020, and my calendar off the wall, and anywhere else that I had calendar type things going on, because sometimes it can be in multiple places, pull it all together. And then I set aside some quiet time. Now, you don't need like 4 hours, but like at least 1 hour, 2 hours would be fabulous. And I treat it like it's a special thing that I look forward to like all year pretty much. So I like make myself some tea, I like get cozied up with a blanket or whatever, and I sit down with all my stuff. And in the past, I had done it kind of pen and paper. This year, I used a Google Doc because I always lose that paper that I wrote on, and I want to be able to go back and look at this next year when I'm doing a calendar audit. So the first category that I look at is things that were life-giving. Okay, things that were life-giving. And I flip through, like I started January and literally go month by month. And it like jogs your memory of things that you did, be like fun trips that you took, or get-togethers, date nights, family, like ministry things you were able to do, whatever. But anything that I was like, oh, that was awesome, I loved that. Like getting together with some of you in the Poconos in November, like that was life-giving. So things like that went on my list. So I'll just give you a few examples just so that as you're thinking through, maybe it'll help you with this process. So things that were life-giving, no kid date nights, like date nights with my husband where the kids were somewhere else and we could just like focus on each other. And most of the time they were at home, like we order food and like hang out at home. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but that was really life-giving to me. One-on-one time with my kids. was life-giving. Family outings, having friends over, getting involved in our new church, early morning running. I got into the habit this year. Ranking up together as a team and celebrating, doing fun giveaways for our team, starting an intermittent fasting group. Like these are just, I have a whole huge list. What I was really excited about is that those things were really easy to come to mind. Like the things that were life-giving, like just kept popping up. So I hope that's the case for you, because there should be a lot of this stuff in your calendar kind of filling your life. So that's the first category. The second category that I write down is things that were time wasters. Things that were time wasters. And Megan's worksheet is slightly different, but same kind of idea. So I couldn't find as many of these, which I was pleased with, but some things that I wrote down was binge watching Netflix. We all get sucked in every now and then. It's okay, but when I look back, I'm like, man, I wish I would have watched less TV, right? So that was one. Scrolling Instagram and Facebook, like just the mindless, down the rabbit hole scrolling. Getting off schedule on the weekend. For me, that was a time waster. I'm like, I'm going to sleep in, whatever, but I hate it. Like I hate being off schedule. So that's something I want to stop and do less of in 2021. So just think through those things that like, man, that really sucked the life out of me, or, it was just draining. It was a time waster. Make a list of those things because you want to try to eliminate them as much as possible moving into the new year. And then the third category is what I want to see more of in 2021. So a lot of the things will overlap with things that were life-giving, right? You want to see more of those. But you can also think about maybe brand new things that you weren't able to do in 2020. So one thing that I wrote was travel and in-person connection with our team. That was really hard this past year because we were all kind of locked down. But hopefully in 2021, I want to see more of you like face to face. I want to set specific family hours and business hours, just for me personally. Do more hands-on learning experiences for my kids, make more phone calls with long distance friends, and focus on setting short and long-term goals for myself and for the leaders on our team. Like I just have a whole list of things that I want to see more of in 2021. So think through those categories and then go through, like I jotted them down on a Word document and then I flipped through my months. So I would look at January, write down things that were life-giving, things that were time wasters, things I want to see more of. And then I would go to February. So it takes a minute because you have to like look at all your things, but it's so good. And it's just nice to reflect on the year. If you had a word of the year for 2020, so my word was align. I also just wrote down some thoughts on like how I did with that. Like, did that word help me? Like, did I align my life the way I wanted to? Did I not? What could I have done differently? And then I have my word of the year for 2021. My word is clarity. So I'm going to jot some notes down about what that's going to look like, why I'm choosing that word. All of this sounds like a lot of work. Like, why are you writing all that stuff down? But it's so good to be able to go back and reflect on it. So that's calendar audit. Amber, I'll turn it back.
Okay. So I was going to ask any of you if you guys wanted to share your word for the year. Did anybody come up with one yet? I'd love to hear them.
I have one. Anybody hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Mine actually was really easy because as soon as I saw it, I knew it was the word that I wanted to use. But my word is going to be discipline. Just because I feel like 2020 was all over the place for me. Just, losing my job, having to switch gears, working from home, like just doing all these things that I wasn't used to. Now that I'm in it more, I want to be more disciplined with it, get it more organized, manage it a little bit better. But we also want to do it with our finances and with my fitness and our nutrition, like all the areas of our life. We just want to be more disciplined with it. So it was just the perfect word for me anyway.
Nice. It sounds like a lot of people chose that word, which is awesome. Everyone's in agreement. And yeah, it was Megan's word, Alicia shared, and Ashley Ferguson shared that was her word as well. So that's awesome.
It's a good word.
It is a good word. I like it. Thanks for sharing, Kristen. Anybody else choose their word yet?
I did. But so when I heard Megan say discipline, and then I was like, oh, do I want discipline? Like, that's so good. Cause I kept thinking about focus and intentional. But I'm going to keep those, and I'm going to write an affirmation that says, you are focused and intentional. And I'm going to put it around different places in the house, because I tend to, and discipline, I feel like goes in with that, but my time wasters are scrolling Facebook and like Instagram, particularly at night before bed. And I justify it by thinking, oh, I'm connecting with people. This is good. But like, it really, my son is not disciplined with going to bed. I'll tell you that right now. Anyway, it's a time waste. And so what I've done the past couple of days when I said focused is that I'm like, cause I'll find myself getting sidetracked and I'm like, focus, Victoria, like just focus. So I'm going to write that affirmation and put that around my house.
I love that. And it's helpful to see it everywhere. Like whether it's your word, I'm like, should I tattoo this on my body? Like somewhere where you're going to see it, write it on your mirror or something. I'm not getting a tattoo.
There are, have you seen the mantra bands or mantra, however you want to say it? But like, I know a girl who like will put her word of the year on the mantra band, and then she has like a whole stack of them from like the past 5 years. It's kind of cool.
That's actually very cool. I love that. Great idea. Anyone else have a word they want to share?
I think I just picked mine right now.
No? Okay. So I will. Oh, is somebody sharing?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Danielle, go for it.
I think I just picked mine right now. And I'm thinking it's going to be commit, because I want to set aside a specific amount of time minimum that I'm going to be working on Plexus work. I'm going to be committing to the intermittent fasting. I'm committing to my workouts and all kinds of commitments this year. So I think that is going to be mine.
That's a great word. That's really, really good. I am writing them all down, so I will share them in the chat for sure. That's a great word. And that's really helpful to think too, like going into the new year, like what's the schedule? What are my work hours? When am I going to work out? And I think Amber's going to talk a little bit about goal setting and SMART goals. So that's actually a perfect segue.
Yeah. So the second step would be to actually plan things out, plan out your goals with the people in your household. So, your spouse, they need to be invested too. So plan out your 3 to 5 year goals with them. That way you can have a focus, have a central focus for the coming year that aligns with those goals. So that's very important. And then, and then you want to also reevaluate 6 months in. So, in June, you want to reevaluate and see, how am I doing with this goal? Like Brittany was saying, or maybe Victoria said to like put this word all over your house so that you're seeing it. Because it's very important. You want to make sure that you're seeing it. It's in the forefront of your mind. It's going to make you more focused. So once we get to June, you want to be reevaluating this word and see how you're measuring up with your goals, and then adjust your timeline as needed, because any progress is good. You want to have grace with yourself. So let's talk about, goal setting. So let's say you want to exercise. It's not just going to happen by you writing it down once or you saying it to your spouse. Like you need a solid plan. Like, are you going to do home workouts? Are you going to do gym workouts? Which workouts are you going to do? Have a workout routine, have a plan. And then also even down to how many days a week are you going to be working out? What time of day are you working out? What does this look like? Do you need childcare? Like you really have to come at it with every angle and set yourself up for success. so that you can be successful. Another common goal for the year might be like, oh, I want regular date nights. I think I said this last year, and why it didn't happen is because I never, got a babysitter, and I never set a budget. I never decided, where we were going. Like, it all takes like thinking and planning. So I was talking to Megan about this actually, and she says that she has an assistant, like a house assistant, and that person plans where they're going to go on their date. And it just takes the stress out of it for her. And I'm like, that's amazing. So anyway, that's what it looks like for her. But anyway, you have to plan every aspect of this in order to set yourself up for success. And then back to planning the 3 to 5 year goals with your spouse. You want to think about where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to be spending your money? Where do you want to spend your time? And what does your life look like? So you're going to be breaking that down, for the future. But yeah, does anybody want to share like a goal like that, that they have for the year? I'd love to hear some of yours. Oh, Danielle, that's cute.
I can share mine.
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know, I'm pregnant, so I can't do a lot of the fitness that I was doing, but I still want to move my body every day. So I made the goal to at least walk 1 to 2 miles every single day. So whether that is inside, outside, whatever, just making sure that I'm moving in some way, because it's really hard for me, being as into fitness as I was, to kind of have to back down, but I still want to make sure that I have that goal in there. So I wrote it everywhere in my house, and just making sure that I'm doing it every single day.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
So it's specific, right? It's walking, it's measurable, 1 to 2 miles. It's time-based. I'm doing it every day, right? Like, I'm going to touch on SMART goals here. So that is a solid goal. Like, you have the detail, the plan. It's not like, oh, I want to exercise, like it won't happen. You have to drill it down, which you've done. So that's great. Anyone else have an example?
I've also tried to make it like realistic for my life, like knowing how busy it can get, like being able to still fit in there, kind of thing. So
yes, so let me just like go through that. And then if anyone else, if you want to think about goals, you can share. But when you set goals, they need to be SMART, SMART. Okay, this is an acronym. Specific, right? So not, I want to lose weight, but like, I'm going to do intermittent fasting. Specific. The M is measurable. So like, how are you going to measure it? I'm going to exercise 7 days a week, or I'm going to exercise 2 days a week for 30 minutes, whatever it is. Like, you said it, but it needs to be measurable. It needs to be achievable. That's the A. So like Kristen said, yeah, attainable or achievable. It can actually be done. It's not this like far-fetched, like, I'm going to run a marathon when I've never even owned a pair of running shoes kind of thing. Like, achievable. The R is realistic or relevant. And the T is timely. So like time frame, time oriented, something that you say, here's the start time, here's the end time, or here's how many days per week I'm going to do it. And this is for every single goal. So we're talking health goals, business goals. They need to be SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely, or your likelihood of accomplishing them is like 0, because it's like, you don't even know where to start. Right? It's too vague. It's too big. So when you drill it down and get really specific, then yeah, these are used in education all the time. Exactly. You're way more likely to actually start and move towards them and achieve them. And one other thing I wanted to share is just the idea of stakeholders. So Amber mentioned, like, you need to share your plan with your spouse, like, or your significant other, whatever. Like, I recently started sharing my work schedule with my kids, which had never crossed my mind until like this past couple of weeks. But they're like your family, the people you live with, they're your stakeholders. They're like your board of directors kind of thing, where your big life decisions, your big goals that you set, you want them on board with you, where it's going to be constant resistance. So I was even talking with Shan, like about her work hours when she works Plexus. And I'm like, well, talk to George. Like, is it really important for you guys to do, certain nights that you're together? And then, maybe you do a couple different early mornings. Like, you have to have these conversations with your stakeholders. One example for me is I wanted to hop on Alita's Power Hour at least 3 times a week. It's at 10:30 in the morning. That's like brutal time for me. It's like homeschool prime time. But I had a conversation with my kids like, hey, for this half hour, it's really important for mommy to be on this call. Here's all the things you're going to do while I'm on the call. I'm going to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, we had the conversation, and I've been amazed at how fine they are with it. Like, no one's running around like a maniac. I told them, you may color, you may read, you may like play quietly in your room, whatever. And they do it because they understand I'm working towards something and they're part of the process. I respect their opinions. And then you can have conversations with your family too about like, what are the non-negotiables? Like, what are sacrifices that we aren't willing to make? Like, if it's a huge deal for me to tuck in the kids at night, then I'm not going to schedule a call during their bedtime, right? Like, whatever the things are, whatever your goals are, make sure you discuss it with your stakeholders. Everyone's on board. That way you're not having the resistance from like, well, I didn't want you to do that. And, you're out running at 5 o'clock every morning when that bothers me, like, it's like they're on board, even with kids. Like, even my 3-year-old is a stakeholder. So, okay, I'm going to be quiet. Anyone else want to share a goal?
Can I just make a quick comment about SMART goals?
Yeah.
So I think SMART goals are really great for when we break down those bite-sized goals, but don't let that limit you in visualizing and dreaming big. So when Amber talked about where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years from now, because I got stuck in this. I got stuck in being realistic in my brain and saying, I'm never going to be a jewel in Plexus. Like, there's no way, like, that's not realistic in this time frame. And so you can kind of like, it's a fine line. So don't let that hold you back from dreaming big. Like, literally visualize every morning. Where do you want to be 3 to 5 years from now? Okay, but then here's the things. Here are the SMART goals that I need to do in the next 6 months in order to like move the needle forward. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's so true. Because sometimes realism can be like a lid, like it can keep you trapped and you have to like put it in the back seat and dream a little bit, but then bring it back to actionable items. So yes, that's a great reminder. Okay, couple minutes left. So if anyone wants to share a goal, or maybe you have a goal and you don't know how to drill it down, and we can like work through one together if anyone has a thought. Stay quiet long enough, someone will speak.
If no one wants to share a goal, if no one wants to share a goal, I could go over like example words for the year if you guys wanted.
I have a goal.
That would be good. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, someone has a goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Fern.
Yes.
I have a 6-month goal because my daughter is getting married June 4th. And there are some specific things I want to work on for that. They are lose a certain amount of weight for the wedding, and be able to earn some extra money to pay cash for some of the things that we are paying for. So that's something I'm definitely focusing on. I think it's realistic, and I do have a time frame. And so for 2021, I really want to focus more on building my business so that I can meet the financial responsibility I have for it, especially.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, so that sounds a little bit like a why, right? Like we talk about like, what's your why? Like, why do you want to work your business? That is even like
Big why.
Goal. Also a why. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So then I would encourage you to break that down into like, what are the daily actions I'm going to take right? To make that happen, like what needs to happen every single day. And that becomes your little work checklist. If I'm going to be here in 6 months, here's the little bite-sized pieces I'm going to take off every single day.
Lots of good information.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. All right, Amber, 2 minutes. Give us some example words for the year, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, so see if you haven't picked a word yet, see if maybe one of these spark some interest. So we have intentional, disciplined, focus, bold, delight, boundaries, progress, possibility, fearless, thrive, no excuses, alignment, renew, family, thoughtful, celebrate, appreciate, faithful, bloom, inspire, grow, change, relax, represent, contribute, abundance, patience, cultivate, dream, expansion, transform, forgive, lead, consistent, elevate, mindful, simplify, respect, love, more, less, joy, kindness, and commitment.
Wow. Okay. So if you can't find one from that list, that's a good list. And I love that, like, one of the words was less and another one was more, like like total opposites, but depending on where you're at, one is going to really be like, that's what I need. That's what you grab onto.
And that's right on Megan's worksheet that Brittany's going to send in the chat.
Yes, I will send it. Also, what are we going to call the chat now? Right? We're always like, oh, put it in 2020. This year is over. Like, what are we call the chat? Anyone have a brilliant idea? I need to change the name. It's got to be brilliant. So think on it and let me know, because I'm like, oh man, I'm so tempted to just leave the name because that's what we call it. Anyway. Okay, I will share Megan's document in the 2020 chat, soon to be renamed, and all the words that you guys shared. Thanks so much. Get it done 2021. I love that, Sarah. That's going on the list. I need to pray over it. Okay, and we'll share the worksheet. So if you guys haven't done it, sit down, use Megan's worksheet or get a piece of paper, a Google Doc, whatever, and just work through and then share your thoughts in our chat because we can all learn from each other. So thank you guys so much for hopping on and Happy New Year to everybody.